Hello, and welcome to a new series of podcasts where we will be covering the main wars of medieval Asia.
The Tang Dynasty stands out as a pivotal force in Asian history.
Oh, absolutely.
Its influence stretched across East Asia and deep into the heart of Central Asia.
Really right into the heart of it.
Today we'll be diving into their campaigns against the Western Turks.
These campaigns were a fascinating blend of ambition, strategic brilliance, and ultimately had a lasting cultural impact on the region.
Yes, they did.
To understand how the Tang Dynasty achieved such dominance, we need to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
The Gaw Turks had split into two factions, the Western and Eastern Turkic Khaganates.
These were not peaceful neighbors.
Certainly not.
The Western Turks were constantly embroiled in conflicts.
Right.
Fighting against the Sassanid Persians in the West and often finding themselves allied with the Byzantine Empire.
Wow, what a mix.
It was a very complex geopolitical landscape.
It's in this chaotic landscape that Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty saw an opportunity.
He was a shrewd ruler.
He employed a strategy known as using barbarians to control barbarians.
This involved intervening in the Western Turkic Civil War.
So playing both sides against each other.
Exactly, backing one faction against another to weaken both sides.
Interesting.
In 641, he supported Isbara Yavgu Khagan against his rival Tulu Khagan.
And what happened?
This ultimately led to Tulu Khagan's assassination and a temporary reunification of the Western Turkic Khaganate.
So it worked, but only for a little while, it sounds like.
Temporarily, yes.
This strategy, while seemingly ruthless, demonstrates the Tang's understanding of the complex political landscape and their ability to exploit existing tensions to their advantage.
I agree.
This was a recurring theme in their expansion.
It certainly was.
However, this intervention didn't bring lasting peace.
No, it did not.
Control over the Oasis states in the Tarim Basin became a point of contention between the Tang Dynasty and the Western Turks.
These Oasis states were strategically crucial.
How so?
Acting as vital links in the Silk Road trade route.
So whoever controlled these oases controlled the flow of goods and wealth across Central Asia.
Precisely.
The Tang Dynasty couldn't afford to let this vital artery fall into the hands of a potential rival.
Absolutely not.
Of all these Oasis states, Kosar is a perfect example of the challenges and complexities the Tang faced.
Yes, it's a great case study.
It initially submitted to the Tang as a tributary state, but as the Tang Dynasty's presence in Central Asia grew, so did the tension.
The Tang's decisive victory over and annexation of Gaozong, a neighboring Oasis state, alarmed Kosar's rulers.
They must have been worried.
They saw what happened to their neighbor and decided to take a gamble.
What did they do?
They allied with the Western Turkic Khaganate and stopped paying tribute to the Tang court.
That's a bold move.
It certainly was a risky strategy.
This defiance led to not one but two Tang campaigns against Kosar.
The first campaign was led by Commander Guaxiao.
And what was the outcome of that?
It resulted in Kosar's annexation and the capture of its king.
So a clear victory for the Tang.
Yes, but maintaining control proved to be more challenging.
What do you mean?
The Tang tried to install a puppet ruler, a Tang loyalist named Longlipohun.
Sounds like a recipe for trouble.
It backfired when Longlipohun was deposed.
Oh, so they had to go back.
The instability forced the Tang to launch a second campaign in 648.
Who led this second campaign?
This time it was led by Ashina Shir, a member of the Turkic Ashina royal family.
Interesting choice.
It was a strategic decision to use someone with Turkic lineage.
I see. And what happened?
This second campaign solidified Tang control over Kosar.
So they finally got a grip on it.
And it led to the establishment of the first of the 4 garrisons of Anxi.
What were those?
These were key strategic outposts that would anchor the Tang Dynasty's presence in the region.
So they weren't just there to conquer, they were there to stay.
That's right.
The back-to-back campaigns highlight the challenges the Tang faced in not just conquering, but also maintaining control over these distant territories.
They couldn't afford to simply march in and leave. They needed to establish a lasting presence.
These early conflicts, while significant, were just a prelude to the main event, the decisive campaign against the unified Western Turks under their leader Ashina Helu.
This is where a key figure in Tang military history enters the scene. General Su Dingfang.
So let's talk about him.
Su Dingfang's campaign against the Western Turks in 657 is incredible.
What made it so incredible?
It was a testament to his military leadership, logistical genius, and the sheer determination of the Tang army.
Sounds impressive.
Imagine this. He led his army across vast distances and incredibly challenging terrain to confront the Western Turkic forces.
We're not talking about a quick march across friendly territory.
No, not at all.
This was a growing journey of over 3,000 miles across steppes and desert.
It was an arduous undertaking.
Su Dingfang's army faced scorching heat, freezing nights, and limited supplies.
The conditions were brutal.
And yet, despite these unimaginable hardships, they persevered.
They did indeed.
This really speaks to the discipline and resilience of the Tang army.
It's a testament to their training and their loyalty to the Tang cause.
They endured these conditions and emerged ready to fight.
Yes, they were a formidable force.
A testament to Su Dingfang's leadership and the army's dedication to the Tang cause.
Precisely. The decisive battle took place along the Irtysh River.
Oh wow, way out there.
In the Altai Mountains region.
That's a long way from the Tang heartland.
It was a clash of empires.
High stakes.
The fate of Central Asia hung in the balance.
The Tang Dynasty's victory wasn't solely due to their army's endurance.
All right.
Su Dingfang, being the brilliant strategist that he was, had a secret weapon up his sleeve. The Uyghur cavalry.
Yes.
They had allied with the Tang.
Seeing an opportunity.
To gain power and influence in the region.
Precisely.
The Uyghurs were known for their swift maneuvers and devastating attacks.
Very effective horsemen.
Making them a formidable force on the battlefield.
Indeed.
Their role in the Battle of Irtysh River cannot be overstated.
They played a crucial role.
Their flanking maneuvers and relentless assaults helped break the Western Turkic lines,
creating chaos and confusion
among Ashinahelu's forces.
It was a brilliant tactical move.
The battle was a resounding victory for the Tang Dynasty.
A decisive victory.
Ashinahelu was captured.
And the Western Turkic tribes,
demoralized and leaderless,
surrendered en masse.
So the Tang Dynasty's reach now extended to its greatest geographical extent,
encompassing a vast swath of Central Asia.
This victory was more than just a military triumph.
It was a turning point
in Central Asian history.
The Tang Dynasty's dominance in the region was solidified.
And the consequences of this victory would echo through the centuries.
One of the most significant outcomes was the decline of Indo-European influence in Xinjiang.
Before the Tang conquests, Indo-European languages and cultures like Tocharian were widespread in the region.
But that began to change.
How so?
The influx of Turkic peoples, both as soldiers in the Tang army and as migrants seeking new opportunities, led to a gradual but dramatic shift in the linguistic landscape.
So the demographics of the region were changing, and the disintegration of the Western Turkic Khaganate accelerated this process.
As Turkic languages and customs spread throughout Xinjiang, filling the void left by the collapse of the old order.
So this shift had a profound impact on the identity of Xinjiang.
It shaped its cultural practices, religious beliefs, and historical narratives.
It's a powerful example of how military conquests can have long-lasting cultural and linguistic consequences.
The Tang Dynasty's presence in Central Asia also left an indelible mark on the region's art and architecture.
Tang artistic elements, motifs, and styles became integrated into Central Asian art, reflecting the cultural exchange and fusion that occurred during this period.
This influence is visible in many forms.
From the vibrant murals found in Buddhist cave temples to the intricate patterns adorning ceramics and textiles.
Tang artistic sensibilities found fertile ground in Central Asia,
enriching and transforming local artistic traditions.
And it wasn't just artistic motifs that were adopted.
The architectural landscape of Central Asia is also a testament to the Tang Dynasty's influence,
particularly Buddhist structures,
especially in places like Dunhuang, a major Silk Road hub.
They display clear Tang architectural elements like distinctive roof styles and elaborate bracketing systems.
This visual evidence underscores the transmission of architectural knowledge and aesthetics across vast distances, facilitated by the Tang Dynasty's control of the Silk Road.
It's a reminder that even in times of conflict, cultural exchange can flourish.
These physical remnants serve as a tangible link to a bygone era, allowing us to see and appreciate the lasting impact of the Tang Dynasty.
But the Tang's influence extended far beyond art and architecture.
Their conquests had a significant impact on the political systems of Central Asia.
Maintaining ties with Chinese dynasties became a symbol of prestige for Turkic states.
And this practice continued even after the Tang Dynasty had declined.
It's a testament to the enduring influence of the Chinese model of governments.
It's fascinating how rulers in Central Asia saw connections to the Chinese imperial system as a source of legitimacy and authority.
The Par Khan and Korkitai Khans, for example, adopted titles that linked them to kingdoms in northern China.
Even though the Tang Dynasty was no more?
It speaks to the enduring power and prestige of the Chinese model of governance in the region.
The Tang Dynasty's political influence wasn't just symbolic.
It was practical.
Their administrative practices, legal systems, and bureaucratic structures were studied and adapted by various Central Asian policies.
This transmission of knowledge and practices contributed to the development of more centralized and organized states in the region.
It's incredible how the Tang Dynasty's conquests had such a profound and multifaceted impact on Central Asia, shaping its cultural, linguistic, political, and even economic landscapes.
Their impact was far-reaching.
Speaking of economics, the Tang Dynasty's control of the Silk Road had a transformative effect on trade and prosperity.
The Silk Road flourished under Tang rule.
Their military power ensured the safety of trade routes, reducing the risk of banditry and providing a stable environment for commerce.
This led to increased trade and prosperity.
And the Tang Dynasty didn't just protect trade, they actively integrated Central Asia into the wider East Asian economic sphere,
They introduced Chinese coinage into the region.
making it a common currency.
This facilitated trade and economic transactions, creating a more interconnected and dynamic marketplace.
And the amazing part is that even after the Tang Dynasty's withdrawal from Central Asia, Chinese coinage remained in circulation for centuries.
It's a testament to their lasting economic influence.
The Tang Dynasty's legacy in Central Asia is a fascinating example of how empires can leave a lasting mark on the world.
It wasn't just about military conquest and political control.
It was also a story of cultural exchange, economic integration, and the transmission of knowledge and ideas.
Their influence continues to be felt today.
In the languages spoken, the traditions practiced, the art admired, and even in the political and economic systems that govern the region.
The Tang Dynasty might be long gone, but their echoes still resonate throughout Central Asia.
And that brings us to an intriguing question.
What's that?
Despite their defeat in 657, the Western Turks didn't simply disappear.
They were a resilient people.
They actually made two significant attempts to reclaim their lost territories in the Tarim Basin.
Their first attempt in 670 involved forming an alliance with the Tibetan Empire.
Interesting.
This alliance underscores the shifting dynamics of power in Central Asia.
Former enemies, recognizing a common threat in the Tang Dynasty,
Joined forces in a bid to restore their lost influence.
this alliance was a serious challenge to the Tang Dynasty,
They launched a coordinated assault on the Tarim Basin.
hoping to exploit any weaknesses in the Tang's defenses.
However, the Tang Dynasty, despite being stretched thin by other conflicts, proved resilient,
They successfully repelled this incursion.
preventing the Western Turks from regaining a foothold in the Tarim Basin.
But the Western Turks were nothing if not persistent.
They were determined.
Undeterred by their initial setback, they launched a second attempt in 677.
Again with Tibetan support.
This second attempt was a bold gamble driven by a desire to reclaim their lost homeland and restore their power.
But they faced a formidable opponent,
The Tang army effectively countered their advances.
forcing the Western Turks and their Tibetan allies to retreat.
These back-to-back attempts to regain control of the Tarim Basin highlight the Western Turks' unwavering determination.
And the constantly shifting alliances and rivalries that characterized Central Asia during this period.
These campaigns, while ultimately unsuccessful, underscore the continued threat posed by the Western Turks, even in their fragmented state.
They also demonstrate the resilience of the Tang Dynasty and their commitment to maintaining control over their Central Asian territories.
However, the Tang Dynasty's grip on Central Asia wouldn't last forever.
Internal strife and external pressures began to take their toll.
The Anlushan Rebellion, which erupted in 755 CE, was a devastating blow to the Tang Dynasty.
This rebellion, a massive uprising that nearly toppled the Tang,
Forced them to divert resources and attention away from their Central Asian holdings.
This internal crisis, coupled with the growing power of the Tibetan Empire and the emergence of new Turkic groups in Central Asia,
Created a much more volatile and challenging environment for the Tang Dynasty.
their ability to project power into Central Asia was severely diminished.
As the Tang Dynasty's influence waned, a power vacuum emerged in Central Asia.
And this vacuum was quickly filled by a new force.
The Second Turkic Empire.
They rose to prominence in the late 7th century CE.
Just as the Tang Dynasty was struggling to maintain its hold on its vast empire,
The Second Turkic Empire, under the leadership of ambitious and capable rulers like Iltutmish Khagan and Kapahan Khagan, expanded rapidly,
they incorporated the remaining Western Turkic tribes.
consolidating their power and establishing a new dominant force in the region.
The rise of the Second Turkic Empire signaled the end of the Western Turkic Khaganate as a distinct political entity,
It marked the beginning of a new chapter in Central Asian history.
one in which the legacy of the Western Turks would be absorbed into a new, larger Turkic polity.
But even though the Western Turkic Khaganate was gone, their influence didn't vanish entirely.
Their legacy lived on in the cultural and linguistic landscape of Central Asia, interwoven with the traditions and history of the Second Turkic Empire.
Their impact can still be seen today.
in the languages spoken, the cultural practices observed, and the historical narratives that continue to shape the region.
The Western Turks, though defeated, left an indelible mark on the cultural tapestry of Central Asia.
Contributing to the rich and diverse heritage of the region.
The fall of the Western Turks and the rise of the Second Turkic Empire is a classic example of the constant ebb and flow of power in Central Asia.
It underscores the dynamic nature of history, where empires rise and fall, leaving behind legacies that continue to shape the world long after they are gone.
The story of the Tang Dynasty's campaigns against the Western Turks offers us valuable insights into the dynamics of power, the complexities of history, and the lasting legacies of past civilizations.
It really makes you think about how these events from so long ago still shape the world we live in.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, let's reflect on some key takeaways.
The Tang Dynasty's success in Central Asia, especially against the Western Turks, highlights the importance of strategic thinking and adaptability.
Emperor Taizong's approach was masterful. He skillfully manipulated existing rivalries, employed the barbarians to control barbarian strategy, and adapted to the ever-changing circumstances of the region.
Those lessons are still relevant today as countries face complex situations.
Absolutely. The ability to anticipate threats, build alliances, and adapt is crucial.
Another takeaway is the power of cultural exchange, even during conflict.
We see this clearly with the Tang Dynasty in Central Asia.
The spread of Turkic language and culture, Tang art and architecture, and the influence of Chinese political models all show how cultures interact.
It's a reminder that cultural exchange can happen even in times of war.
And that recognizing different cultures can help build bridges and cooperation.
The Tang Dynasty story also teaches us about empires.
It reminds us that even the most powerful empires are not invincible.
They face challenges in maintaining control over vast territories and diverse populations.
Internal strife, economic problems, and new rivals can all weaken an empire.
Studying the rise and fall of empires offers insights into power and stability.
And lastly, the Tang Dynasty in Central Asia shows that history has lasting consequences.
The region still reflects the Tang Dynasty's influence centuries later.
It's fascinating how the past continues to impact the present.
Understanding history is crucial for understanding our world today.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Tang Dynasty's campaigns against the Western Turks.
We hope you found this exploration insightful.
We encourage you to keep learning about medieval Asia and share your thoughts with us.
We believe that understanding the past can help us shape a better future.
Be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into history. We'll be exploring other fascinating stories from medieval Asia.